Say it as I come across. 2.
We've put together this detailed setup and use clinic to help you use the TRX properly, and we'll equip you with the top tips on using the TRX so that you can begin maximizing your workout results right now. The TRX suspension trainer can be used indoors and outside. Wherever you decide to use your TRX, you'll need to attach it to a secure anchor point that's strong enough to support your body weight. Suitable anchor points include doors, sturdy beams, weight racks, heavy bag mounts, railings, trees, or even fences. Fitness Anywhere also offers a complete range of anchoring accessories, including the door anchor, the X-mount, the multi-mount, and the suspension frame. Your TRX includes a yellow suspension anchor with a carabiner for the main body of the TRX, adjustable straps for lengthening and shortening the TRX, and club-grade handles with integrated foot cradles for ground-based training.
For optimal use, choose a workout area roughly measuring 8 feet long by 6 feet wide. Also, be sure that you're on a flat, non-slip floor. For best results, you want to use an overhead anchor point, such as an X-mount or any suitable sturdy overhead support. Overhead anchor points allow you a greater range of motion for many TRX exercises, and depending on your needs, can increase your workout results. If you're working off a one-sided anchor like a post or a door, you can still challenge yourself as much as you want on the TRX. Be sure to choose a secure point that's 7 to 9 feet off the ground and strong enough to support your body weight. To set up your TRX, clip the carabiner on the main body of the TRX to the bottom anchor loop of the yellow suspension anchor, just below the black TRX badge. Do not clip it in any other loop of the suspension anchor. Attach the suspension anchor to the anchor point by wrapping it as many times as necessary to ensure that the bottom of the suspension anchor hangs at about 6 feet from the ground. This is the ideal height to perform all TRX exercises. Clip the carabiner on the suspension anchor into one of its intermediate loops, or around the suspension anchor itself, and pull it tight to make sure it's secure. A tip for attaching the TRX to smooth bars or poles, like this one, is to wrap the suspension anchor several times around it to prevent it from sliding from side to side. And no matter what, always remember to weight test your TRX before using it by pulling hard on it.
A common option for home use and for training while traveling is the TRX door anchor. The door anchor gives you the luxury to turn virtually any doorway into a TRX suspension training station.
When using a door anchor, make sure you're attaching it to a sturdy door that can support your body weight. To use the TRX door anchor, remove the suspension anchor from the main body of the TRX. Now clip the carabiner to the loop on the door anchor. If you're working out on a door that opens away from you, place the pillow over the center of the door and shut it tightly. You'll essentially be pulling the door shut as you work out. If you're working out on a door that opens towards you, slide your door anchor over to the corner of the opening above the hinges. This will keep the door from pulling open. If possible, lock the door.
By now you should have the TRX all set up, but if you don't, take a few seconds to set it up right now, because we're about to get a lot deeper in how to properly use the TRX. Now to begin with, we're going to take you through a few safety guidelines to help get the most out of your TRX. Before each use, always inspect your TRX. Do not use a TRX with worn or damaged components. Replace worn or damaged components immediately. Do not clip this carabiner into one of the intermediate anchor loops of the suspension anchor. This may weaken the stitching. Do not attach your TRX to an anchor point with sharp edges. For example, certain overhead metal beams or door hinges. Rubbing against a sharp edge will weaken or cut nylon. Make sure to use a strong, secure anchor point that can support your body weight and to securely attach your TRX to it. Weight test by pulling hard on your TRX. Make sure the exercise surface is flat and not slippery. Do not saw your TRX in a pulley-like fashion. Sawing will cause excessive wear of the TRX's stabilizing loop. If the yellow color nylon begins to show through the black stabilization loop, replace your TRX immediately. Protect your TRX from the elements when not in use. Prolonged exposure to sunlight, dampness, and extremes of heat and cold can weaken nylon and metal components. Positions. I need to learn to set up. I'm here with Doug and Bianca to help me take you through how to use the TRX. Now, both Doug and Bianca are suspension trainers. As you can see, they practice what they preach. The length of TRX is very adjustable, and this allows us to perform a wide variety of exercises. So, for all rows, like the one that Bianca's about to do, you're going to want to have the TRX fully shortened. This allows you to explore all of the progressions, allowing you to move into a very steep position where you can challenge yourself, or you can always take a few steps back to ease the pressure off. So Bianca, why don't you take us through exactly how to adjust the TRX to its fully shortened position?
Sure, no problem. Shortening a TRX is very simple. First of all, you want to make sure that the TRX isn't twisted before lengthening or shortening. To shorten it, pull one strap of the TRX. Depress the cam buckle on the strap with your thumb and grasp the yellow adjustment tab with the other hand. Pull back on the buckle and pull the adjustment tab up along the strap as if you're using a bow and arrow. From there, we can repeat on the other side, making sure that the handles are even.
All right, good job, Bianca. For many exercises, like this TRX squat that Doug is doing, you're going to want to adjust the TRX to a mid-length position. So Doug, why don't you finish up this last repetition and take us through exactly how to adjust the TRX to the mid-length.
In order to lengthen the TRX, simply grab one cam buckle in each hand, simultaneously depress down on the cam buckles, and pull down and away from the anchor points until the adjustment tabs reach the two mid-length yellow marks. When your TRX is at mid-length, the foot cradle should be about 12 inches off the ground.
Great work, Doug. Ground-based exercises on a TRX are a great way to build core strength and upper body strength. The foot cradles on the TRX allow us to perform these exercises from two different positions. We can work in a supine position or face up, like Doug is doing with these hamstring curls, or from a prone position or face down, like we're seeing Bianca do with this atomic push-up. For these and most ground-based TRX exercises, you're going to need to put your feet in the foot cradles. So, while we let Bianca knock out another set of these atomic push-ups, Doug and I are going to take you through exactly how to put your heels in the foot cradles. Now, to begin with, what you're going to have to do is adjust the TRX so the bottom of the foot cradles are at mid-calf level, or about 8 inches from the ground. Having the TRX adjusted to this height is going to allow for a perfect platform to challenge the core with any progression.
Again, we want to lengthen the TRX by simultaneously depressing down on the cam buckles and pulling down and away from the anchor point until the foot cradles reach about 8 inches off the ground or sit just above your toes while you're in the seated position.
To put your heels into the TRX, you'll sit facing the TRX and hold each foot cradle with your thumbs. The foot cradles should hang just above the tip of your feet. Lie backward onto the ground and simultaneously place both heels into the foot cradles. And now you can extend your legs just like Doug, and you're ready to go. So now let's go over to Bianca and talk a little bit about how to adjust the TRX to get your toes into it. As you saw before, she was doing the atomic push-up, which is a great exercise to build upper body, shoulder, and core strength. Just as before with Doug, we're going to want to adjust the TRX so the bottom of the foot cradles are 8 inches from the ground. This means that they should be just brushing the tops of your toes while you sit underneath it. This is going to make sure that your toes don't drag along the ground as you're doing the exercise, or that your legs aren't too high in the air. Now, sit facing the TRX. Place your right foot toes first into the left foot cradle, just like Bianca. Cross your left foot over the right and place it into the right foot cradle. Roll over with your hands and knees on the floor, allowing your feet to rotate inside the foot cradles. All right, let's move back up and talk about how to fully lengthen the TRX. For all pressing exercises using the TRX, you're going to need to fully lengthen it, and that means that the bottom of the foot cradles will be 3 inches from the ground. So, for this TRX chest press, like the one that Bianca's about to do, you're going to need to adjust it fully. Again, that means you're going to grab onto both cam buckles and simultaneously pull them down to lengthen it out. From here, you can see that Bianca can explore a huge range of motion, meaning that she can keep exploring deeper and deeper angles and truly challenge herself. Now, some exercises, like this single arm row, require only one handle, and they're typically more difficult than their double handle counterparts, like the classic TRX back row. So, to do these exercises, we have a choice. We can either use both foot cradles in a single hand or a single handle. But using the single handle is much more comfortable and convenient. So Doug and I are going to work together to show you exactly how to configure the TRX into single handle mode. Hold one handle over top of the other and pass the bottom handle through the triangle-shaped webbing of the top handle. Repeat this by passing the handle that's now on the bottom through the triangle-shaped webbing of the top handle. Pull the handle you've just passed through towards you to lock the two handles together. When properly configured, the handles should look like this. Thanks, Doug. So your TRX is equipped with a locking loop. If you pull on one handle, the straps are locked. Some earlier versions of the TRX don't have a locking loop. If you use a TRX that doesn't belong to you, always make sure that the straps are locked before pulling on one handle. If the straps aren't locked, configure the TRX into single handle mode. One of the key benefits we stress with TRX suspension training is that you're in control. So for each of the hundreds of exercises that you can perform using the TRX, you have the ability to make them as easy or as hard as you want to. So now you've learned how to set up your TRX and adjust it for various positions. Here are a few fundamental suspension training tips that will help you change the intensity of your TRX exercises. Modifying your body angle is a cornerstone of suspension training. Changing the steepness of your body angle enables you to make exercises more or less challenging. You can instantly adjust the challenge you get from any exercise to suit your fitness level, which is not only comfortable within your workout, but it also helps you keep your heart rate and your metabolism up. So pick up your TRX at home and work along with Doug as he does the TRX chest press at a very shallow angle. First, I want you to make sure that TRX is fully lengthened by depressing both cam buckles and pull downward until it's completely lengthened. One main tip here is that in order to perform this exercise correctly and to prevent the TRX from rubbing against your shoulders or arms, you're going to need to take those hands and raise them up a little bit, and this will keep the TRX off of your arms. You can see looking at Doug, he's got great alignment in this exercise. His ears are lined up with his shoulders and his hips, and he's getting great work through his shoulders, chest, and his core. Especially, he's getting a little bit of destabilization through these straps, and that's really turning on his core. Now we'll take it to a steeper angle in the same exercise by moving the feet backward towards the anchor point. And you can immediately see and feel at home that this is much more difficult through his shoulders, chest, and his core. Nice work, Doug. The same is true with the TRX back row. And again, for that back row, we're going to want to adjust the TRX so it's fully shortened. We'll do it one strap at a time. So by depressing the yellow tab and pulling all the way up, again, just like that bow and arrow, you're going to get it in the right position. You can see, working at this shallow angle, that Bianca's getting great results here through her back, her shoulders, and her core is activating hard to keep that position. Notice when she steps toward the anchor point, that angle gets much, much steeper and immediately requires a lot more effort from the shoulders and back. Her core is engaged and her hips and shoulders and ears are aligned at all times, just like we were with that shallower position. And most importantly, she's keeping constant tension here at the anchor point, and that's super key. The TRX straps should never go slack during any of the exercises, so it's very important to keep tension on the TRX at all times. If you're not, you'll see slack develop in the TRX just like here. That's not optimizing your workout, and you're going to want to either take a step steeper or move slower to make sure you keep constant tension the entire time. The other important thing when using the TRX is you keep even tension through the handles, and that's going to stop you from creating any sort of sawing action through the TRX and making sure, again, you're getting the best exercise and reducing the wear on your TRX. Now, the next thing we need to go through is offsetting your feet, which can also provide increased stability and acts as a self-spot mechanism to distribute some of the effort that's involved in the movement. Still, keeping constant tension on the TRX and keeping a good pace. Here, Bianca is giving herself a greater support by having that foot back, and that's what makes the TRX so great. An instant adjustment in the body positioning allows you to keep going and challenge yourself throughout the entire workout. Again, great work, Bianca. Now, let's go back to Doug on the TRX chest press to show how to make an exercise easier or harder by adjusting your base of support from wide to narrow. Exercises with a wide base of support are easy to perform. All right, our TRX is fully lengthened, and we'll start with a shallow angle for that TRX chest press and a wide base of support. You should be feeling a good amount of work already here in the shoulders, chest, and in the core. The body's very stable because of this wide base of support. Putting your feet closer together makes the exercise much more difficult, and it's on the entire body. Because you're decreasing that base of support, making the exercise more difficult, more muscles are working and firing to help you maintain balance in your core. Taking it even further, what we can do is take one leg and lift it up off the ground, putting it out to the side. And there you are. Now you've decreased your base support to an absolute minimum, and the impact of the body is massive. The entire movement has become much more difficult because of this extra rotational force. The shoulders, arms, chest, back, core, and even the legs are firing, and you're really challenging your whole body with this exercise because you destabilized it to nearly a maximum. Just like movements from standing positions, ground-based exercises can also be made easier or harder by changing your start position. So let's bring it back to Doug and down to the ground, and we're going to shorten the TRX so the bottom of those foot cradles are at mid-calf level. And this is about 8 inches from the ground. So let's sit facing the TRX and hold each foot cradle with your thumb. I want you to lie backwards onto the ground and simultaneously put both heels into the foot cradles. Let's start out with our feet directly under the anchor point. So Doug, come towards me just a little bit. From here, what we can do is raise our hips up slightly and pressing our heels into the foot cradles, lifting the pelvis. Now, pull the heels in for the TRX hamstring curl. From here, we're getting some great work in the hamstrings, lower back, and the core. But you can make most floor exercises harder by positioning the body further away from the anchor point before starting the exercise. Let's sit up and move back about 6 inches beyond the anchor point and start that exercise again. This time, when we raise the hips up slightly off the ground with our heels in the foot cradles and lifting that pelvis, immediately, even before we start the exercise, we can feel the challenge is increased, and I think Doug would probably agree. And performing a few reps here in this position, the core and the lower body are exerting a lot more effort and energy to perform each movement. The same principle of your base of support are also applicable to ground-based exercises. Moving back to the initial position, Doug can perform the TRX hamstring curl, but this time with a wide base of support. He's going to put his arms out as wide as he can, pressing into the ground, and this is going to help stabilize his body. As he puts his arm onto his chest, his body destabilizes and his core muscles work a lot harder to complete the movement. At the high end of this, we can even raise the arms straight up overhead, just like he's showing us now, and this is bringing your base of support to a minimum and demanding an awful lot more from the core and the rest of the body. Fantastic job, Doug. Another way to make ground-based exercises easier or harder involves raising or lowering your center of gravity. Again, for exercises on the ground, we'll need to lengthen the TRX to 8 inches from the ground. Now sit down, facing the TRX, and place your right foot toes first into the left foot cradle, just like Bianca's done here. Cross your left foot over the right and place it into the right foot cradle. Roll over to the right, allowing your feet to rotate inside the foot cradles. We'll start off with a simple side plank on our elbows. The core, chest, back, and legs are firing and engaged. Floor plank exercises are much easier when supported by your forearms. Let's make the plank a bit more difficult by coming up onto our hands. This position is much more demanding and requires more effort to stabilize, which stokes the core and the rest of the body. At the very high end of the movement, let's go up to one hand and stabilize the plank from there. This movement is at the top of the food chain of performance, and the base support is minimal. This means the core and the body are giving all they have to stabilize the movement. Brilliant job, Bianca. By now you should have your TRX all set up and feel a lot more comfortable about using it. So no matter where you are, get ready to have a blast with your TRX, and we'll see you for the real-time workout.